December 17th, 1944, 0420 hours. Ligneuville, Belgium. Snow drifts through the shattered windows of an abandoned cafe as the ground trembles under the weight of German armor. The air tastes like diesel fumes and burned powder. Outside, headlights sweep across the cobblestone street, long predatory beams cutting through the fog. Oberst Joachim Peiper, commander of Kampfgruppe Peiper, steps out from behind the ruined doorway, his breath a white cloud in the freezing air. The muffled rumble of Panzer IVs and Tiger IIs echoes like distant thunder. Behind him, SS grenadiers are shouting, dragging captured American jerry cans toward the road. And then, someone yells the words Peiper has been waiting to hear since the offensive began. Herr Oberst, fuel, American fuel, a full depot. Peiper turns sharply. His boots crunch on broken glass as he strides toward the soldier. For a moment, the only light is from a burning jeep, its gasoline hissing in the snow. They guide him to a small valley behind the village, a cluster of U.S. Army fuel trucks and storage drums, abandoned in a rush. Even in the dim light, the stenciled white stars are unmistakable. 50,000 gallons. Enough to breathe life into his armored spearhead for a little while. You can almost feel Peiper's pulse quicken. For 2 brutal days, his advance has been starving. Every tank, every half-track, bleeding fuel faster than they can replace it. Now, at last, the Americans have handed him their lifeblood. The grenadiers move with desperate urgency. Hoses hiss, pumps thrum, and the smell of American gasoline fills the cold air. Engines roar awake as crews siphon whatever they can into the waiting Panthers and Tigers. The night becomes a symphony of clanking steel, shouted orders, and the impatient revving of armored engines. Peiper stands there, watching the silhouettes of his tanks growing stronger, darker, heavier, alive again. This is what he was promised. This is what the Ardennes offensive, Hitler's last gamble, depends on. Speed, surprise, and fuel. Above all, fuel. But even in the moment of triumph, something gnaws at him. Because as the first tanks fill up, the depot begins to empty far quicker than he'd hoped. The drums aren't as full as the reports suggested. Several trucks have been drained already, maybe sabotaged, maybe abandoned half-empty. And the numbers don't lie. 50,000 gallons sounds enormous in a briefing room. But Peiper knows exactly what it means in reality. A single Tiger II can burn hundreds of gallons in a single day of combat. Dozens of tanks, hundreds of vehicles, miles of forest roads clogged with snow and resistance. Peiper wipes the frost from his eyelashes. His mind is moving faster than the engines warming around him. He realizes, quietly, privately, that this haul, miraculous as it seems, won't carry them far. Not to the Meuse, not to Antwerp, maybe not even through the next American roadblock. Still, he keeps his face stone hard. His men need momentum, not doubts. But the thought hangs there in the freezing darkness. This is a victory that already feels like a defeat. A messenger sprints toward him, boots slipping in the slush. Herr Oberst, scouts report another American column ahead, more supplies, possibly more fuel. Peiper turns sharply. Possibly. He gives the order to move. Inside, though, a single question settles like ice in his gut. What if this is all the fuel he'll ever get? Dawn never really comes on a winter morning in the Ardennes. It just becomes a slightly paler shade of darkness. December 17th, 1944, 0610 hours. Peiper's column snakes through the forest like a steel serpent. Panthers, Tiger IIs, SDKF 251 half-tracks, and soft-skinned trucks all grinding forward through the ice-crusted mud. The engines roar, echoing between the trees. But beneath that mechanical thunder lies a quieter, more fragile rhythm. The soft glug-glug of precious fuel sloshing inside every tank. You can almost feel the tension at your fingertips. Every mile is a gamble. Every uphill climb is a withdrawal from an account that has no future deposits. Peiper rides in a command vehicle near the front, map spread across his lap, fingers tracing the winding Belgian roads. He's pushing west, faster than the terrain allows, faster than is safe. But this offensive is built on momentum, not caution. A sudden burst of machine gun fire cracks through the woods. American outpost. A few dozen infantrymen, maybe a bazooka team hiding behind a frozen haystack. The firefight is brief, almost perfunctory. The grenadiers move with brutal efficiency, overwhelming the defenders in minutes. The Americans scatter, leaving behind rifles, crates, and a few jeeps riddled with holes. Peiper doesn't slow. He doesn't even look toward the bodies in the snow. He's searching for something else, something far more important: fuel. A Tiger II commander climbs down from his turret, shaking his head. "Empty," he calls out. "They left nothing behind." The words hit harder than the gunfire. Peiper checks his watch. They are hours behind schedule already. The 6th Panzer Army is supposed to break through deep into Allied territory by nightfall, seizing American depots to refill their tanks along the way. That was the plan. Neat, elegant, theoretical. But the Americans aren't collapsing. They're delaying, fighting, burning what they can't save. Peiper climbs back into his vehicle, slamming the door behind him. His radio operator looks up, headset crooked around one ear. "Orders, Herr Oberst?" Peiper studies the map again. Something isn't right. The roads are clogged. Bridges are blown. American demolition teams are working with incredible precision. Every choke point, every crossroads, every fuel cache seems to disappear minutes before his column arrives. It's as if the Americans know exactly where he will be. And then it hits him. This is not coincidence. This is not luck. This is intelligence. Allied intelligence, predicting his movements with uncanny accuracy. A cold realization creeps into his chest. They aren't falling back blindly. They're shaping the battlefield, starving his tanks without ever having to fight them head-on. The column halts as engineers move to remove a roadblock. Overturned trucks, felled trees, debris frozen into place. Peiper steps out again, boots sinking into the wet snow, breath clouding around him. Far up the road, through the swirling fog, he sees something that makes his stomach twist. A U.S. truck convoy. Maybe 20 vehicles, retreating just out of artillery range. Fuel trucks, ammunition trucks, all slipping away like ghosts. His grenadiers try firing at them, but the distance is too great. The convoy disappears around a bend, engines whining, men waving mockingly as they vanish. It's the worst possible sight for a German armored commander. Fuel, 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 all drifting just out of reach. Peiper mutters under his breath. That shouldn't be possible. Because according to German intelligence, this road shouldn't even exist. It's not on the map, not on the aerial photos, not in the planning documents. But it's real. and the Americans are using it to stay ahead of him, outrunning his tanks while stripping the land bare behind them. His radio crackles again. "Herr Oberst, we've checked the captured depot. Final count, less than half the expected reserves." Peiper closes his eyes for a moment. Just a moment. He can feel the offensive slipping away. Not in a dramatic explosion, not in a decisive battle, but in a quiet, relentless bleed. Fuel. Time. Chance. An officer approaches him, saluting. "Order, sir?" Peiper looks down the fog-covered road where American engines fade into silence. "We continue," he says.